In the Land of Dawn, heroes rise from every corner, but few have a past as violent, tragic, and unstoppable as Balmond. Before he became the spinning force of destruction we fear on the battlefield, he lived a life shaped by oppression, bloodshed, and the endless struggle of his people. This is not just the story of a warrior. This is the story of an orc who defied fate, embraced forbidden power, and carved his name into the history of the Abyss. Today, we uncover the official canon lore of Balmond, the Blood Axe warrior. Balmond is the leader of the orcs, leading the orc army against the invasion of the demons. During a battle, he consumed the blood of a blood demon and went into a rage. This aroused Alice's interest, so she signed a contract with Balmond on the condition of returning the Stormeye wasteland. Balmond and his orc army have since fought for the demons. The orcs are a race with a long history and perhaps the most common of those in the Land of Dawn. Throughout the mists of time, they have served under Lord of Abyss as they fought throughout the fears of endless war and also engaged mankind in savage battle during the Golden Era. A series of successive defeats left the once strong united demi-humans divided instead into orcs, minotaurs, and centaurs, among other peoples. It also left them bereft of their home, forced into exile, in the southern lands where they eked out a meager existence. Despite all this, it seemed fate had not yet finished toying with this ancient race, as the Abyss encroached once more powerful demons emerged again from the south, presenting a perilous threat to their declining orc populations. Under the demons' oppression, the orcs were made to split into several small clans scattered throughout the vast expanse of the roaring wilderness, exploited to the utmost. Balmond was born in a traditional orc tribe within the roaring wilderness, and from a young age his father had always taught him all kinds of combat skills. Along with this, he would also regale him tales of the orcs' former glories, how they once resided in their homeland in the north of Lantis Mountains, and their millennia of fierce battles waged against the elves and humans. He hoped that Balmond would, one day, be able to become a true orc leader and return them to their former glory. Over 20 years later, Balmond had grown into a mighty orc under his father's teaching, and during this time, the demon's brutality had instilled Balmond with deep, dark memories, only making him yearn even more for the day when the orcs could return to power, bringing back their once formidable kingdom. To this end, the young Balmond not only trained relentlessly, but also dedicated himself to studying all kinds of ancient orc tomes, which gifted him with an astute strategic knowledge. But this was when the flames of war were just beginning to kindle. In order to amass the strength required to attack the Empire, the terrible demons invaded the Orc tribes tirelessly, plundering and pillaging their resources, causing the orcs unspeakable suffering. Prior to this, the orcs were powerless to resist the demon forces, and had no choice but to submit to preserve the peace, however short-lived it may be. But this time, Balmond led the warriors of his clan into battle, and slayed the demon leader, who had come to rob them of their resources, in doing so, sparking the Orc rebellion. The Orc race had taken enough of the demons' oppression, and now each tribe lent Balmond their strength. They were no longer scattered clans, instead becoming a truly powerful force to be reckoned with. The rebellion spread throughout the roaring wilderness like wildfire. Under Balmond's command, the fierce orc warriors successfully fought back the demon armies that came to suppress them, dealing a heavy blow. This gigantic counterattack launched by the orcs shocked the demons. Enraging Lord Lava, Tammuz, he dispatched numerous terrible troops formed of blood demons and fiends to the roaring wilderness, as he would never stand for resistance against his demons within the wretched expanse. Despite the disparity in power, a relentless fight to the death between the orcs and demons was waged, yet the latter surged like tidal waves, and things began to take a turn for the worse for the orcs. Their power waned by the day, their defensive lines shrinking until they were entirely surrounded. To protect his race from extinction, Balmond decided he would fight right to the bitter end and led an effort to break through their ranks. In this blazing battle, the demons again flooded in, their numbers seemingly infinite, and the bodies of orc warriors were strewn all around as they advanced. Balmond shook with fury and cast aside his now blunted battle axe as he gripped a demon by the neck to bite at its throat, severing its head with his teeth. Yet this attack sent copious amounts of demon blood flowing into Balmond's body, which resulted in an incredible transformation. It fueled him as he went utterly berserk with unimaginable power that he wielded to break through the enemy lines. The orcs were showered in demon blood, igniting a fearsome battle power within them that shook their demon oppressors to their core. New possibilities had presented themselves, and this caused them to change their plans on wiping out the orcs. To this end, the cunning Alice managed to track down Balmond and present him with an offer. Once the Empire had been defeated, the entire roaring wilderness would be returned to the orc peoples in exchange for Balmond's loyalty to the demons. In order to preserve the power of his orc brethren, Balmond reached an agreement with Alice, and his forces swore loyalty to the Abyss. They would then serve as the demons' vanguard forces as they stormed Azria. However, even Alice could never have imagined that an even greater plan had been brewing deep in Balmond's mind. First, he would command the demon forces to breach the moonlit forest and occupy the Elven Kingdom, where he would build his strength steadily. Following that, the union of the orcs and the revival of their kingdom that they'd yearned for over millennia would finally come to be. Now that we've heard Balmond's official lore, let's break it down, because there's actually more happening behind the scenes than most players realize. First, Balmond's story isn't just about brute strength, it's about an entire race, the orcs, fighting for survival. His people were oppressed, hunted, and forced into servitude by the blood demons. So when Balmond rebelled, it wasn't out of blind rage, it was desperation. He wanted freedom for his tribe. But here's where it gets tragic. To win that fight, he had to drink the blood of the very demons who enslaved his people. Yeah, he gained power, but he also lost a part of himself. He became tied to the Abyss, especially to Alice. Instead of saving the orcs completely, he became a weapon the Abyss could command. What's crazy is that Balmond isn't evil. He's not a villain. He's more of a tragic anti-hero. He's controlled, manipulated, and used, but deep inside, his goal is still to restore the orcs' glory. That's why he keeps fighting, not for the Abyss, but for the future he still believes in. The more you look at it, the more you realize Balmond's story isn't about destruction, it's about sacrifice. He gave up everything, even his own identity, just to give his people a chance to survive. And that's what makes Balmond one of the most underrated lore characters in Mobile Legends. And that wraps up the full story of Balmond, a warrior shaped by war, trapped by fate, and driven by a loyalty deeper than the Abyss itself. From the rise of the orcs to the tragedies he carries alone, Balmond proves that even the fiercest heroes have a past worth understanding. If you enjoyed this lore breakdown and want more stories like this, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more Mobile Legends lore, analysis, and character deep dives. Once again, this has been your host Danasaur, and I'll see you in the next hero story.